It's that time, friends, where I get to finish my little story, because I was telling you a story, and so it's a week later. Some of the fill-in came, put conditioner in. Oh gosh, and I'm salty. I'm salt and pepper. So we'll see what happens in another week at the end of November. It's November 20th, and I started watching Marvel's Jenna Jones. God dang. Okay, so anyway, we got through a couple episodes, and we're gonna keep going on with that one now. I don't know, but I'm still trying to figure out. I know there's intuition involved in the whole, and then I'm trying to figure out the plasma electromagnetics that you can't see, but they keep trying to like put on you. So anyway, the movies, you gotta love it. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts of universal law, because anything that can look like or appear to be alien technology can be broke down back to its essential parts. These are the universal laws. So let's say in the multiverse, the laws change. It could, well, depending on the frequency, you see. So, because it comes down to a frequency, and I'm going to show you. We're talking about two ways to get create frequency, the frequency generators, so to say. First, we could just use the magnets, Professor John Searle, or Lockheed Martin and Boyd Bushman, where he took his magnets, pushed them together, the opposite side, squeezed them together, and dropped it, and it went a little bit slower because of the magnetic field. And then all they needed to do was throw a spin up in that, and then you could, so it's a spinning. You see, that's where I'm watching these. You always have to have the movement. Once you get the movement, you understand it's not a linear, it's a movement, bro. It's a spin. It's a right spin or it's a left spin. Now, we're going to go back, and this is exactly where the basics of vortex technology 101 will help you out the most. Now, let's look at this for a second. You got a cold spinning vortex, and it's going counterclockwise. A cold spinning vortex counterclockwise in a tube. Your vacuum. Okay? But see, don't say vacuum, but you can get the air to suck through in that manner. Okay. Now, so we're talking about a vortex going counterclockwise. And the colder it is, the more dense it becomes, okay? So this has to do with CERN. That's why everything... But CERN and their thing, don't even worry about that. That's what we have is everything that they're talking about. And that's where we're going to get down to nature. And so let's go with this counterclockwise cold vortex on the inner tube, the inside of a tube. Okay, now when it's on the inside of a tube like that, the direct center, okay, the absolute center is a negative charge, and out here is a positive charge. Okay, now how do I know that? Okay, and could I be wrong? Could all that be wrong? It could be either way, you see, because once you find out the electronics of today is taught backwards, then you begin to understand. So I don't want to go into your battery and on your car and the positive, negative, and how it flows this way. It doesn't, there's the positive is well, anyway, okay. Shit. The inside is negative, the outside's positive. As this spin goes, the heavy particles, just like a merry-go-round, go to the outside. Okay? So heavier particles are aligning on the outside. the littler particles that are on the inside, and there's a direct center, and there's an exchange. There is an exchange. So just hang in there, because we got this tube with cold air going through it, and then on the outside we have hot going the opposite direction, and that hot is going clockwise. So the hot air is going clockwise, and it's bigger, and the cold tube's on the inside. Now the only thing you need to get that, you can there, as you do this, if you do it under a vacuum. So, and we're not talking about your vacuum, we're talking about like an engine, compression, and it creates like a vacuum, and that's how that cold air gets cold. We create a vacuum and make cold, okay? Because that's the nature of the universe, and in the universe out there in space, it's cold. There's nothing there, but there is everything there. So that's what they talk about, dark matter. So all these things and all these different terms, you could say dark matter, you could say antimatter, you could say black hole. But the real deal is, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. You talk about the vortex going right and the vortex going left, and then one inside the other, cold out on inside the hot. And you put a little rod in there, little rod right there, and you will get electricity, because this whole thing is like a storm, and it's an inside-out storm in a way, because we're trying to get to that dark matter. We're trying to create dark matter, and that's what we can do. So that rod has a sacred geometry right at the end, and that's the north end and the south. So as this cold comes in doing counterclockwise, it's naturally south. Okay? So this end of the rod is going to be south. This is going to be north, because this rod is basically it becomes magnetized. You don't want to use stuff that can't magnetize, but pretty much you're gonna get you can. This is where we go into the elements, and then that takes, so that the creation of the elements is what we're talking about. And basically a transmutation of see, that's what we're doing in not in CERN, but in the looking glass. And when we go to the looking glass, as these vortexes go inside and out, this is a glass generator. It's glass. It's not a metal tubes. It's glass tubes. And there is that rod on the inside, and bam, when it lights up, bro, it can make a black bubble like you've seen in the TR3B. Now, that's nature, okay? So then, now we're talking spherical, okay? So that's another sacred geometry, is this 360-degree ball. And then you have to add time in there, and then the mathematicians can line up the coordinates, and then they can break them down a little bit more, and that but then there's a circle. They have to get that circle so that they can do these measurements. And some of these guys that do that, like satellite projections, like incoming asteroids, all that math right there that you use for the orbital is the same math. You can change it by using the golden number, and the golden number will spit out so much, like kind of like pi. It just trickles off, number after number, just keeps going. Okay, and these are the phenomenon areas. Okay, so pi is a phenomenon when it comes to numbers, but when you put it in real life, when we see it, it's different. Okay, so the nuts and bolts is right now. It's vacuum technology, or it's under the vacuum. And that's how you can suck energy out of the vacuum. And we're just going to go right there, and that's all I want to take it on that one. So two different ways. You got vortex technology. Okay. Now, if you wanted to add mercury in your liquid, because basically these are water running engines This is the stuff that takes down Saudi Arabia's gas and the hold and the grip on the entire country and the globe. Okay, because we have different energy, and the only ones that can use it is the United States government. If you invent anything, if you put the device together, or you even start to put the device together, the TR3 is going to come down, they're going to take you, they're going to get your shit, they're going to do whatever they do, and this is what's going on. It's going on everywhere. Australia, yeah, a lot of free energy over there. Germany already had their shit. They already know. It's some of the smartest. They're ready to accept it. But some of the people in America, they can't accept it. We don't. Levitivity. You're evil. You're combining yourself with the devil. No, it's the nature. And just because we're tinkering with time doesn't mean it's evil. We're defenders of the evil. But see, you have to be very careful because sometimes a device could get in the wrong person's hand. We've seen the movies or the Netflix, Warehouse 13. We got Flash with the super powers and the ability to, like, you know, and this comes with the plasma generator. It's a plasma generator, and then you use the elements. Like you add mercury in your thing, now all of a sudden you can go linear in time and shit like that. Like the Kecksburg incident that actually originated in the 30s in an experiment in Germany, and then it ends up landing in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania over there in America in 1965. So we're talking years go by. Okay, so that's where things can happen, is in this bubble. And some of these, you look at Marvel, the S.H.I.E.L.D, and those guys, there's a shield, and these guys inside this shield, it's time. And that's what we're saying. When we put these vortexes together like that, it creates a frequency, dude. And these are the frequencies. Some of them we've never been able to cap, but now you can see with the particle accelerator, it's kind of hard to say. That's just the one that's in public. You know, there's one underground in America somewhere. In the water in California, they just completed some huge, like, underground water thing, and they took all the water just in case we need water after a nuclear holocaust, because really if you contaminate the water above ground, we're kind of screwed unless you had a well, and then your water might be good until it got saturated. So anyway, doesn't matter where you're at, what you do. Time travel's real. I don't know why the government won't even go down that avenue, but you know why. It's all weird. But it's in there. You can see it. It's in Star Trek Enterprise. Star Trek Enterprise, boom. This is the little Professor John Searles, the disc. Okay, yeah, there's bigger ones. They're way out there. We keep these things apart. If you're big, you don't come down to float in these guys. Okay, but anyway, you could, you know. But anyway, an event later in the future, in the multiverse, happens, and it has to do with that vortex technology, the golden number, and water. Of course, water. Jeez. So that's how this story goes. This is the nuts and bolts. In the next story, I'm going to go into my very personal time travel experiment, or not experiment, but time dilation, where I can't remember anything, and that's just how that is. But it happens so often, and we will get to the bottom of this elevator. Ooh, because I'm going to let you know kind of where these time devices are. And they're still in use today. And Andrew Basiago, as a lawyer, is doing his presidential duty to run for president and let you, the American people, know, be aware that there is a program. Good luck, man.